Thanks, John. Hey, so you want to know something really cool?
Yep.
John walked in this morning and I said to him, "Hey, John, would you like to be our host today?" And he went, "Okay." Isn't that cool? He and I had talked about it and I said, "Oh yeah, I'll give you some information and we'll get it going and it'll be fine." And you know, I thought I'll get it started in January. No, he walked in the door and he was ready to go now. He is ready to go. Can I give these to you to put on the table? Thank you. Thank you. I'm clearing stuff out of my way. I love that song, Martha. And I love that I had to pull up my note. What was I saying to her yesterday? I was telling her about the service. You'll crack up. What I wrote was, in my head, I keep singing to the song, "Let It Go, ... let it flow." In my head, I was hearing, let it go, let it go. Instead, I was hearing, let it flow, let it flow. And you found that Dave Reeson song that worked it perfectly together. How awesome is that? I love how things work, right? It's one mind. It's one mind. All right, I don't need my phone now. We are going to talk about flowing ground. I no sooner left here last week before, and the ground flowed. Wow. You know, we live in earthquake country, so we know the ground flows all the time. It's always moving. It's always shifting. You know, thank goodness for the aftershocks, right? They said they released that pressure. And thank goodness this one really wasn't devastating, right? We know about earthquakes that have been devastating. This one wasn't so bad, but we felt it. We felt it. Are you getting glare in your face? Is that what's going on?
It's sun.
It's sun. I know. It might be that time of year to switch again.
Yeah, it is.
All right. So we're talking about flowing ground, right? And permanence, it's a word, it's a word of degrees, right? The ground is permanent to a degree, right? The ocean washes it away. Things shift. In my own front yard, when during that pouring rain, I'm watching the water come down off the hill, through my yard, down off the hill. I'm watching the water flow down the roads. It's creating its own path because there isn't a path there for it. It's making driving back up my road really fun in the rain, let me tell you. It's that does. It's constantly moving. So today we're going to talk about that, about flowing ground, about how life is moving constantly and shifting, right? So we're going to talk about three things. We're going to talk about the ground flowing. We're going to talk about change, and we're going to talk about solid ground. So there's my notes. All right. So as we know, the ground isn't solid like we'd like to think it is. The same is it's true for the ground of our appearances, things that seem solid, right? Has anybody ever read that Richard Bach book, Illusions?
Oh, yeah.
Great book. Great book. I remember my mom's best friend Vince gave it to me and I was maybe 16. My mother had given it to him to read, and then I was at his place up in Groveland outside of Yosemite, and I had forgotten my book. And Vince said, "I have something for you." And so he handed me the book called Illusions, and I was mesmerized by it. Absolutely mesmerized. And I don't quite remember the story, so I'm going to use my notes because I didn't pull the book to bring it back with me. Do we need to move you, my love? Gail's like this.
Yeah.
Trying to get out of the sun. You're allowed to move, and we're also allowed to close these. Don't close them. Oh, there we go. Is that better? I want you comfortable. You worked so hard on our holiday party, which was a great success. At our holiday party, we raised just over $450 for the center with our raffle prizes. So thank you, everyone, for participating in that. All right, back to the book Illusions. You know, it's a story about a reluctant messiah named Donald. And Donald is walked out onto a lake saying, look, water can be solid or not. How quickly we get used to miracles. In less than a minute, I began to think that walking on water is not possible. It's not natural. Well, so what? But if the water is solid now, how can we drink it? He's already walked out onto the water. He believes he can. But the question becomes then, how do we drink it? And Donald says, the same way we walk on it. It isn't solid and it isn't liquid. You and I decide what it's going to be for us. That's life. That's life. We decide what it's going to be for us. I can decide it's going to be hard. I can decide that I'm going to struggle. I can decide that I'm going to be in perpetual ick. So, you know, a lot of things happened while I was gone, for me. My ankle was still bothering me. You know, I showed up with this brace on last month. And my ankle was still bothering me. And last Friday or Thursday, I thought, you know what, I should call the doctor. It's still really hot and sensitive, and I really can't walk on it very well still, but I'm still wearing this brace. So I went to the doctor on Friday, and he pokes here. Does this hurt? No. Pokes here. Does this hurt? No. Pokes somewhere else. Does this hurt? I said, no. And he moves my foot around. Does this hurt? I said, no. And then he pokes me right on the ankle bone. And I said, ow, did you mean to do that? And he said, that hurts, huh? I said, yeah. He says, let me show you why. And he flips the computer around and he shows me, he goes, so this is an old break. And I looked at him funny and I said, how old? He says, about 4 weeks. But wait a minute, I broke my ankle? I didn't just twist it. Uh-oh. I said, is it okay? He says, it's in perfect alignment. I said, awesome. He said, what did you do? I said, well, I first went to the chiropractor and then I had some prayer work done. And then I put on my boot from when I rolled my ankle a few years ago. I still had it. I thought, why not keep it in the closet? You never know. So I put my boot on for a few weeks and now I'm wearing this 3-way strappable brace that limits my choice of shoes. And he said, that's exactly what we would have told you to do. Then he says to me, so I mean, what did you use for pain? What to manage your pain? And I said, ice, rest. He went and aspirin, Tylenol, anything? I said, no. And he looked at me like, whoa. He said, but it's good, right? He says, it's perfect. Wear the brace for about another month. But you are on your way to being completely healed. And I thought, oh, how awesome is that?
Awesome.
That's prayer. That's prayer, because I know all of you were praying for my perfect and divine healing, whether you realized it or not. Right? Because you see somebody walking in a boot or in pain, and what do you think? Oh gosh, may they heal easily and effortlessly. We don't go, we want that person to suffer. We don't do it. We don't do it. No matter what's going on, we think, oh, poor thing. So whether you realize it or not, you prayed me into health. Thank you very much.
You had to accept.
I had to accept. Right. I had to be willing to accept that. What else happened? Oh, as I was getting ready to leave the house, my husband called. He says, I can't get the heater to turn on in San Jose. What? He said, I can't get the heater turned on. So I'm up here trying to say goodbye to Gary and Melanie and pack my own stuff up and get on the road. And then I have to stop and make a bunch of calls. Who can I get to come out to take a look at the heater on a Monday in the cold snap in San Jose? Cold snap. So I make a couple of calls and then I remember there's a guy that did the air conditioning at my mother's house earlier this year. So I thought, I'll look him up. And then I called my brother and I said, Glenn, who did you use on your heating system earlier this year? And he said, the guy that did Mom's house. He was great. Call him. So I did. Tom came out within 45 minutes. The other place I called said, we'll see you tomorrow. Tom came out in 45 minutes and he said, the control panel on this thing was shot. He could replace it for $1,000. We already knew our air conditioner was on its last legs. I know, an air conditioner, we don't need those up here, but we need one in San Jose. And the heater was old. And Mark said, well, what do you want to do? And I said, just replace the whole thing. He said, oh my God, property taxes are due next week. I said, you know what? And we're just going to be grateful that we have the funds to manage this, right? We're going to be grateful that we have the funds to manage this. Now, Mark has evolved so much. He said, you're right. Instead of, well, I got to pull money from here, I got to pull money from there. What are we going to, we're not going to be able to pay this bill and yada, yada, yada. He said, you know what? You're right. And by the end of the week, we had a new heating and air conditioner installed in our house for a great price by a guy who was fantastic and thrilled to do 3 Puritan houses in less than 6 months. What a gift. Not only did we call into us the right person to do it, but he was able to do it quickly, efficiently, super friendly. I've already referred him to 2 other people. I accepted his gift, he accepted mine, and it's perpetuating. It's perpetuating. It just continues to happen. Rather than fight what is, Mark and I explored a new possibility. Now, we've been pushing back on this heating and air conditioning system for a while. And it'll last another year, and it'll last another year. You know what? It wasn't going to anymore. It was time to do it. Yeah, timing wasn't great. But what was our option? Our option was to light the fireplace, run electric heaters. Those can get expensive. So we chose to not fight what is and to go with it. Now, how many times in our lives do we fight what is? Change. Change. Everyone fights change. It's natural. It's what we do. Very rarely does somebody go, yay, change is happening, right? Instead we go, I'm not used to this. I don't like this. I'm not sure, right? Right? We all do it. It's normal. Rather than fight it, we explore new possibilities. That's how we move through it. We explore new possibilities. If things aren't working in our life, it's time to explore the possibility. If the ground is shifting and moving and we don't like it, we get to explore a new possibility, right? So there's an old saying, you know, that excuse, well, it is the way it is. It's just the way it is. It never serves anyone. It is what it is. Really? That's the way we've always done it. I've said it. I've heard other people say it. Okay, but is it working? I have always put on my left sock, then my right sock, and then my right shoe, and then my left shoe. It didn't work when I had a cast on my leg. I had to figure out something different. It was frustrating. This morning, I actually walked out with 2 pairs of shoes on, 2 different shoes on to walk the dog. I had my rubber boot on my left foot, and then I went to slide my right foot into the rubber boot and realized it doesn't fit with this brace on. And the puppy, I'll tell you about that in a minute. The puppy needed to go outside, so I just grabbed another shoe and went, well, it'll work, right? It'll get me there. Hi, buddy. The reindeer decided to fly. It'll work. Sit, boo-boo, sit. Good dog. The problem is everything always changes, right? The fluid process of the universe happens, and as we become more conscious of it individually and collectively, we can consciously co-create the direction of change. I heard somebody say this morning that they hate when people say, I don't talk about politics. Talk about politics. Talk about it, because that's when shift happens. When we start to talk about it, when we start to ask people who have a different political opinion than we do, tell me what your thoughts are, you're opening yourself up to something new. Rather than criticize, listen and say, you know, you don't have to agree, but you can say, oh, that's interesting. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. There's a lot of people in New Thought churches that are of different political sides. A lot of people. Welcome them. Welcome them. We're not all going to think the same. We might have different opinions, and that's okay. And when we create that, we create something new and more harmonious in the nature of life when we welcome that. When we welcome that. The second point here is Buckminster Fuller said, you never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. How many times have you said, this isn't working, I'm going to restart? I'm going to try something new. Anyone? Has anybody tried something new? I see, yeah, hands. Because if we keep doing what we always did, what happens? You get what we always got, right? If it's not working for you, stop. Stop. This is when I've learned to vision. I stop and I vision. And rather than accept being in a stuck space, often what I'll say is, all right, Spirit, something new is coming to me right now, and I am willing to let go of whatever this is that isn't working to allow that something new to manifest into my life. And how do we do it? How do we do that? How do we create that? Or how do we invite that into our lives? We do it very simply by naming what is the new possibility. What is it that could be happening? We then claim it by visualizing what it could be. We then speak it into being, and we follow it up with action. I was at a dear friend's memorial service a couple of years ago. And the memorial service was at the church that her mother was a lay minister at, kind of like our practitioners. And after service, I walked up, and in this sanctuary is a beautiful tree. They built the sanctuary around the tree. So the tree is, if facing you, it would be right here. It's gorgeous. And that building used to be the Unity Church that I went to Sunday school in as a kid. And so after service, I walked up and I touched the tree. And of course, Mark's like, what are you doing? I said, this is my tree. I need to bless it. Because every Sunday I would run up, dragging my little brother up the center aisle. And then I would put him in his seat next to the minister, the co-minister. And then I would walk over and I would run over and hug the tree. Of course, he would follow me. But we'd hug the tree as little kids. We loved that tree. So when I went over to hug the tree, what the minister there said, you know this tree? And I said, I do. And she said, tell me how you know it. So I told her. She said, that's really powerful. I said, you know what's even more powerful? I declared in this room on that pulpit right there that I would be a minister one day when I grew up, and I'm in ministerial school right now. And she said, that's amazing. Come with me. And she grabbed my hand and she drugged me up to the front and put me in front of the podium. And she said, I want you to stand there and I want you to claim it. I want you to say, hi, my name is Reverend Eileen. And I did. And then she stood back and took pictures with my phone. So I could visualize that. So I can see myself doing the thing. So I named it. I claimed it by visualizing it when I was younger. I spoke it into being, and then I followed it with action. Repeat, repeat, repeat. I continued to do that. And here I am. Yay. One of the things, thank you. One of the things that I know about myself, now, I have had in my life a problem with completion. It's a symptom of ADHD. And I had a fear that I wouldn't finish ministerial school. I was terrified. All this work, all this money. And I was like, I'm gonna freak out. I'm gonna freak out at my written exams and my oral exams and, oh my God. Right? How many of us do that? And then how many of us walk away? Walk away. My friend Reverend Abigail says, don't give up before the miracle. Don't give up before the miracle. And I heard that in my head. Eileen, don't give up before the miracle. In the process, I was diagnosed with ADHD and I've been learning how to balance it. But it still happens where I don't complete something and somebody has to come tell me, hey, you dropped the ball. It's okay. You can I take feedback really well. I really work on that. But it's about learning and practicing and taking that action and following through. And when I got done, I thought, there's no way I completed this. I needed my friends to say to me, you know, you're Reverend now, right? Even before I went through my oral panels, I think when I was done, the first thing I did was text Reverend Tanya. You're the first person I'm texting. I just, I'm Reverend now. And then it was Reverend Gail. And, you know, it was just like a few people at first. And then it was a tell everybody. Why? Because I needed to remind myself that I did it, that I did it. There's a power in understanding the role of our deeper mind and our deeper mind. That's our subconscious mind. That's the part that influences us whether we realize it or not. That's the part where our beliefs reside. That's the part where our habits reside. That's the part where our family of origin, we move this way because of the way our family of origin has moved. I talk about Mark a lot only because he has grown so much. He would say to me, I would say to him, well, why do you do that? Really, really weird penny pinching things. Really weird ones, like over the top. And he'd say, well, this is the way my dad always did it. So do you know your dad was a child of the Depression? Your dad lived in a house with no running water in Iowa, with an outhouse. And I remember his dad telling me one night when the boys went off to the drag races, I sat out on the back porch with his dad talking, and his dad was telling me about how lucky they were that in their outhouse, they didn't have to use the corn cobs. That they had catalogs that they were able to.
Montgomery Ward.
Yeah, the Monkey Ward catalog, the Sears catalog, right? Right? How lucky he was that they didn't have to use the corn cobs.
Yeah.
To which I said, ow, that must have been terrible. He said, oh yeah, I didn't like going to my friend so-and-so's house because that's what they use, right? Mark, you don't have to live like that. I have an abundance consciousness. I know that it always comes, that we have plenty. And we have enough that we can give away. We can give it away. Why? Because if I'm holding on to it like this, I'm covering my pockets, you can't get to my pockets, no way. What happens? Nothing can come in. Nothing can come in. You have to open up to it. You have to allow that process of circulation, whether it be financial, whether it be of your thoughts, you have to allow new things to come into your life. There's a psychologist, Carol Dweck, I think is her name. She wrote 5 steps to the growth mindset, and I love this. She said, first, you embrace your challenges. Embrace your challenges. They're learning opportunities. They are opportunities for growth. Embrace them. You know what? When I had to walk with a cane or walk with a boot or anything else, I had to shut up and sit down. My friend Jennifer, literally the first week I was up here with that ankle, would come, she'd meet me in town, and then she would drive me around. And she'd tell me, sit down. She'd bring me some ice that she had in her ice chest. She would take care of me. You're not going grocery shopping. Tell me what you need. Right? I'd hand her cash. She'd go grocery shopping for me. While she's leaving me at her house where it's nice and toasty and warm. Or we'd go out to the cliff and watch the waves come in. She was taking care of me. Now, I am a strong, powerful woman. And I have been independent for a really long time, despite my husband's efforts. It took a lot for me to listen to her when she said, sit down, put that foot up, and rest. It took a lot. I said, I want to go to the gym. And she said, sure, we'll go float in the pool. I said, can I at least walk in the pool? She said, okay, you can walk in the pool, but nothing else. That was actually really helpful. But I had to learn to stop and allow someone else to give to me. And in her case, she gave me her love and care. What a gift. What a gift. So embrace your challenges and learn and use them as learning opportunities. When you fail, what do I tell my prac students? When you fail, you do what?
Ta-da.
You go, ta-da, and you move on. You don't take it personally. You don't beat yourself up. You don't whip yourself in the back. You fail, you go, ta-da, and you move on. Right? Because it's a learning opportunity. Second thing that Carol says is willingness leads to development of talent. You have to be willing to do something different, whether you have the talent or not. I have a guitar that sits in my house and a ukulele. I have taken guitar lessons. It's been years. It hurts my fingers. But building that up, Martha, right? It's hard. Building up that where the calluses, yeah, it hurts. I brought my guitar up and I said to Gary Weinberg, I want you to teach me a little bit about the guitar again. And he said, okay. And he gave me 3 chords and he said, I want you to practice this. And I went, ow. And I didn't take the guitar home with me. But I know that if I start practicing again, I'll pick it up again. Right? I played the flute as a kid, so I know how to read music. I understand that. I was pretty good. Out of 20 kids, I was first and second chair, always. I was always challenging the first chair flautist because I wanted her seat. And sometimes I would get it, and boy, I tell you, the next week she'd say, I want to challenge Eileen. She'd get it back. Oh, right? But I kept doing it. And what happened? I got better and better and better because I was willing to try. And that's what will happen with the guitar. I'm willing to try it. I'm willing to develop a new talent. And that's investing in effort. That's investing effort, taking action, right? The third thing she says is to use the word yet. I can't play the guitar yet. I don't understand the chord progression yet. I don't know how to strum and change my fingering position without pausing and looking yet. Use the word yet instead of I can't. I haven't been able to do that yet. The fourth one she says is seek feedback. Seek feedback. Feedback is a gift. Whether it's from a manager or a spouse or a best friend, seek it out. Seek it out. Somebody gives you feedback, say thank you. Don't internalize it. Don't make it personal. Say thank you. I remember one time, it was only once in my entire working career, where my boss called me in and said, hey, it's time to do your review. And I said, yay, this is where I get to learn where I can grow. And he went, what? What? I freaked him out when I said that. But that's how I felt in that moment. Yay, this is where I get to learn where I can grow. We had that relationship. It was really good. Feedback is a gift. Remember that. And then fifth, she said, celebrate the successes of other people. When you have a success, I'm winning too. When you have a success, I'm winning too. When you have a success, I'm winning too. We're all winning. We're all winning when someone else around us has a success. You know, I remember being the days where I didn't feel like, I felt like there was lack in my world, lack in my life. And I'd go, oh, that person, like last night, I really wanted that gift certificate, but someone else got it.
You got my earrings.
I did get your earrings. I love them.
I got those earrings. I love them.
And they're purple, and if I don't hide them from Reverend Gail, she might abscond with them too. But I really, really, really wanted this gift certificate. And I didn't get it. And did I go, oh God, what was me? I didn't get the gift certificate. No, I applauded for the person who won it. I think I probably even said, yay, right? Their win is my win too. When we celebrate the wins and the accomplishments of other people, we are what? We are welcoming that into our own consciousness, our own mind. We are reminding ourselves that it's possible. That it's possible. So I have a couple of ideas for this week. This week, I want you to think, what are some of the best ways I can make a difference? Right now, it's by sending prayer to the siren going by. Let's everybody take a deep breath. And just send our prayer in the direction of those sirens. Knowing that wherever they're going, that they are serving. They are serving someone in need, and that person is going to be okay. That person, those people. That all is well in the world. And that God's in the middle of it. That's an example of one of the best ways you can make a difference. What if you made an extra plate of something and brought it to a neighbor? Here's another thing I want you to do this week. I want you to name a good in your life. Name it. You don't have to share it with anyone, just name it. And then name a good for the world. Mine is often peace. Peace. And then think about, what is it? What are some old belief systems? As my friend Peter Montana says, what's your BS? What's your old BS? And how can you change it?
Belief system.
Right, but what's your old BS belief system? What are you walking around with? I got a puppy last week. He's very cute. His name is Finn, and y'all will meet him soon. He just hasn't had all of his shots. And I was talking to David Leonhardt last night or this morning about the name Finn, and he said, well, you know, he made a Finnish joke about Finns being so stoic. And you know, I heard that growing up because my mother was 100% Finnish, and the joke about Finns being so stoic. And the joke is cute, but I thought, that's not me. No, I mean, I can be, right? And that was definitely not my mom. She was very playful and giddy and silly. But there's this perception of Finns being very stoic. And then I think about my cousins in Finland. Oh, they're not. They're not. They're really fun. I love when they come to visit. It's a great time. But if I had fallen into that, who would I be today? I'd be looking down at my toes, as that joke said. Right? I'm not going to buy into that. My family were ridge runners in Boonville, in Anderson Valley. You know, I heard an old timer say, once a ridge runner, always a ridge runner. Really? My grandfather was a ridge runner, and he put every one of his kids through college. Every one of them. And they made great lives for themselves. Once a ridge runner, always the opportunity to create something new, right? So, where in your life are you going to create something new? What is some of the good in your life? What's a good in the world? And what are some of the best ways that you can make a difference this week? Let's pray. know that there is one source, one power, one essence. I call it divine spirit, God, divine goddess. I call it it with a capital I, it with no gender. Moves in, through it, around each and every one of us. For I know that that divine source is good and only good. I know that that divine source that moves in, through, and around each and every one of us infuses itself as us. It allows us to open ourselves to possibility when we tap into it. See, there's no place where it stops and we start. It's all there, it's all one, it's all God. It's experiencing itself as us right now in this space. I know that as I speak these words, that these words are already coming true, that healing is happening right now. That healings of hearts, of bodies, of bones, of relationships, of the planet is happening right now. I know that abundance is flowing so much that there's nothing for us to do but open our hearts and our minds and our arms wide open and say, yes, yes, I welcome it. I know that the abundance comes in hugs and emails and a beautiful view. I know that that abundance comes as our rain, serving our wells and our soil, feeding the animals, feeding us, providing us with the nourishment that we need. I know that it's all good, it's all God, no matter what it might look like in the moment. And that I can continue to go out and look for the connection with even those things that I'm not comfortable with. I know that it's there because I know it's all God. So with this knowing, I'm claiming this for each and every person in this room, for each and every person that is watching us right now, and for each and every person that listens or watches later. It's all God and we are. I know for the entire planet that a healing is happening right now. And I'm so grateful for it. I am so very grateful for it. And so with that gratitude, I just release my prayer, knowing that it's already in the process, it's already being done, and there's nothing more than for me to do, but to believe it and to move in that direction in the way that only I can do. And so help me anchor this prayer together by just simply saying, and so